heard her. You can do the short version of Brene Brown by going to TED Talks. She does a fantastic TED Talk, and her whole emphasis is on the power and courage of relationship, of being vulnerable in a relationship, and specifically in addressing shame. Shame affects all of us, even though we don't like to talk about it because it's, we don't like to even broach the subject of shame, right? It's shameful. But Peter, in this reading, Peter is awash, just awash in shame. He has said, I love you. I will follow you. I'll go anywhere with you. You are my Lord. I can do everything. And then when it comes right down to it, when Jesus needs him, Peter says, I don't even know that man. I don't even know him. Like, leave me alone. And then he gets to live with that. He lives with that betrayal of his best friend in the world. And not only his betrayal of his best friend in the world, but his revealing to himself of his own cowardice and his willingness to throw everything overboard to save his own skin. He gets to see himself in that light. And he can't hardly bear it. And so he goes fishing. He knows fishing. He knows it well. And the truth is that fishing is hard work, right? So when anybody know, when you're overcome with all these like big emotions, like particularly negative emotions, but even happy emotions, your body wants to move. You need to have that large motor stuff. That's why we teach kids, when you're angry, go outside and run around. Because you need to kind of move that through your body. And Peter does that. Instinctively, he goes back to fishing. Hard labor. It gets him, out of his head for a while. And just into the fishing, into what he knows doing. The other thing is that he goes at night. Now, this is not unusual. The fishing mostly on the Sea of Galilee happens at night. So it's a very normal thing for him to go at night. But the truth is that at night, nobody else can see his face. Nobody else can see the tears coursing down his cheeks. Nobody else can see his shame that's just roiling off his body. So at early daybreak, even before the sun comes up, that very, very first light of day, that first light, they see a figure on the beach that calls out to them. Now, Peter's not the first one Peter doesn't recognize him, but John does. John says, it's the Lord. And remember going back to the tomb on Easter morning? It's Peter and John. First it's Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene goes back and reports to the disciples, something has happened. So Peter and John have a foot race to the tomb. And who gets there first but John? John, looks in, but he is not going to go inside that tomb. Peter gets in there and, immediately goes inside. So John, and then John follows. So Peter acts. He just acts. John goes in and he's the one to say, he's risen. The Lord is risen. So John understands Peter acts. It's the same thing on the boat. John is the one who recognizes that's Jesus on the shore. He says, it's the Lord. And Peter just, over the boat. Put his clothes first. Now, apparently fishing, hard work, fishing at night is kind of naked kind of work. Right? But being on the beach with other people, he wants some clothes on for that. So he puts his clothes on, jumps in, he is soaking wet by the time he gets to the shore. But his heart is just leaped. It's Jesus. It's his friend, risen friend. leaps over the boat and goes ashore. And Jesus greets him with a fire, with a warm campfire. Now, I think we're just genetically coded to be attracted to contain fire, right? If there's something in us that wants to get close, that enjoys gathering around it, gets immediately relaxed. Whatever is preoccupying us kind of drops away. We enter into kind of a more of a dreamy type state around a fire, watching the flames. Everything else loosens up. And so we relax. We relax around a campfire or a fireplace in your house. I don't think it's any coincidence that Jesus is greeting Peter with a fire, the campfire. And so he can begin to kind of relax a little bit. Jesus also greets him with a fire that's going to warm him up and dry him off. So he gets warm and dry and a little more relaxed around this fire. And there's food. There's the smell of food. Cooking bread, warm, fresh bread, fresh fish. He's ravenously hungry. Jesus warms him up, soothes him, dries him off, and feeds him. And Peter, so Jesus is addressing his physical needs, his emotional needs, right? Physical and emotional needs as he just kind of tends to Peter around that fire. I think I imagine what's happening is that Peter is beginning to loosen up that cloud of shame. It's just beginning to lift a little bit. A little more breathing space for him. And being tired doesn't it helps. He's tired, so his defenses are a little bit lower. He's tired, now he's warm, he's fed. Isn't our God good? Isn't our God good? We worship a God who comes to us in who we are as people, as bodies on this earth. And that's how he first of all reaches out to Peter. But then he doesn't stop there, because he knows that's not going to complete this healing cycle here. And he doesn't do anything like what Dietrich Bonhoeffer calls cheap grace. He doesn't just say, "It's okay, Peter. Don't worry about it." Because the truth is that Peter's denial wounded both of them very deeply. Both of them have been deeply and profoundly hurt by this betrayal of love. This denial. And so there's no just patting on the back and saying, "It's okay, don't worry about it." Jesus asks him the question, "Do you love me?" And that question, I think that question is just designed to wound Peter at the very place where he needs wounding in order to heal. It goes to the very source of his shame. Do you love me? And Peter is able to say, I do love you. But Jesus doesn't just leave it there. He goes 3 times into that deep, deep place of wounding and shame. Goes with Peter right back to that source of shame. So that Peter can visit it repeatedly and say, I love you. Until finally he breaks down in tears. Finally, all the defenses are down, and he breaks down and he says, I love you, Lord. You know everything. Meaning you know everything. You know I failed. You know I'm broken. You know that I'm not the kind of courageous guy I think I am. And you know that I love you. And Jesus accepts the wholeness of Peter, everything about him, and gives him a mission, gives him a purpose, gives him a power feed my sheep. Feed my sheep. This wounded man full of shame and blame, is the very man that Jesus is going to build his church on. He goes in and heals. Not an easy healing, but a total healing. And Peter, I think, is a way, way, way better leader because of all of that. You know, his no bravado left for Peter, because he knows. He knows. There's no bravado left. And so he can approach other people and build the church, not on the basis of this, rah, 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 victory is ours, but that the Lord really and truly is risen, really and truly heals, really and truly accepts us and loves us exactly just the way we are. The final thing about this whole wonderful, incredible story is that it's not done. Jesus doesn't take Peter over to the side and just do this in secret. It happens in community. It's around that campfire. All the other disciples are there. All the other disciples participate in witnessing and healing, because every one of them has run away. Except for maybe John. I think John stood the foot of the cross with the women. But all the others are pretty much scattered. They all participate in this healing. Healing happens in community, and it's one of the geniuses of the 12-step programs, right? That they happen in community. You get seen and known and accepted and healed in community. And so Jesus, at the very beginning of the church, at the very founding of the church, does it around a campfire with food together. We enter the kingdom together. We enter into this place of love and light and healing and conversation, hard conversation around hard topics, but that are healing topics, healing to us. We do that as a community. So thanks be to God. Thanks be to God. He is risen, He is present, and He can and does heal. Amen.